Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Maggie Baumer, and I'm the current president of the National Association for the Advancement of Orthotics and Prosthetics. Today, we're talking about the George and Dina Bree Summer Fellowship, and we're lucky to have with us Nikki Grace Strader, who is one of our most recent graduates of the fellowship program. Hey, Nikki, how's it going today?
Great, and it's great to see you, Maggie.
Yeah, it's great to see you as well. So I just wanted to dive right in and ask you, what is it that made you apply to the fellowship in the first place?
My initial application for the fellowship came after being at the Amputee Coalition Hill Day event when Nicole Verkeilen was announced as the inaugural fellow. And I remember sitting there and thinking, could I do that? Could I go spend 10 weeks in Washington, D.C.? And it was a terrifying thought. My kids were small. I was new in everything that I was doing as an amputee. And eventually I came around to do things scared. This scares me, but I'm going to do it. And I put in that application and really was hopeful that, if I got it, doing things scared would help me become a better advocate.
Well, we're so glad that you did, that you got scared and you applied anyway, and it all went very well. I mean, there were bumps along the way with COVID and all the delays and everything, but, we were just so pleased to have you as a fellow. What would you say was the biggest lesson you took away from the fellowship or the biggest impact that it had?
I think there was a number of huge impacts for me. One is, I became an amputee while my children were very young, and I've watched them watch me kind of adjust to this. I had the incredible pleasure of having one of my sons out in DC with me for a short while, and I got to watch him participate in some of the advocacy things that we were doing and some Hill events, and even just being in the Powers law firm and watching him learn advocacy at a different level was really powerful for me as an amputee, but really powerful for me as a mom. And watching him come home and continue to employ what he learned in advocacy in other areas of his life has been incredible. So that was a huge takeaway for me, but also just getting to participate in the different events that went on, getting to watch Peter Thomas and learn from him and sit in meetings just to listen and learn how the process goes on was incredible for me.
Yes, and I know you built a large network throughout the summer and throughout that process, and also, became a very strong advocate yourself, not just listening, but participating. So it's been wonderful to watch. And I'm curious, how would you say that you're applying what you learned today, post-fellowship?
I think post-fellowship, I learned things that I literally didn't know anything about. So I had the extreme honor of having Lucas DeLuca as my fellow and learned about DEIA, which is something I knew nothing about, and getting to bring that into kind of a real-time space in my world and what I'm doing, and just the awareness it's created for me has been incredible. In addition to the relationships that I made, there were a number of opportunities that I was given to just attend events that allowed me to meet people with other levels of disability and gain awareness about other levels of advocacy, when it comes to wheelchairs, wheelchair accessibility, and how this impacts other people's lives.
Wow, it sounds like it was really impactful for you, which of course is the goal. And we're so grateful that you came through the program and that you're an ambassador now for the program and speaking to our listeners today about it. Is there anything else you'd like to say to the listeners?
First and foremost, do things scared. If you think that you can't do this fellowship or it's too much for you, apply anyway, because doing things scared is maybe our best way to learn about what we're capable of. The next thing would be, you know, this fellowship is incredibly important and impactful in how it affects the O&P industry at every level, from clinicians and practitioners down to the patient level. So please donate to the George and Dina Brees Fellowship. Without this fellowship, without having patients or users out there learning these things, we would lose a huge piece of how advocacy moves forward in the O&P industry. One of the hardest parts for me in establishing myself in Washington, D.C. was the housing. It's very expensive. It's not always generally very ADA accessible, and I had very specific needs. In donating to the fellowship, you could support someone who has very specific needs in getting appropriate housing so that they can be there, you know, boots on the ground, learning all of the pieces and parts that come together in advocacy and in what NAAOP does in supporting the O&P industry.
Very well said, Nikki. The more voices and the more diversity of people we can get involved in this fellowship program and in our profession and in the industry, the better. So thank you so much for saying that. And just to all the listeners, you don't have to be an NAAOP member to donate to the fellowship. You can visit our website at naaop.org and click on the donate tab, and any and all contributions are much appreciated. Thanks for joining us today, everyone. Have a great day.